Welcome, I'm Christian and I will help you to complete your assignment. So this assignment focuses on using the Wolfram language blockchain functions to mint and explore NFTs. The idea is for the students to understand the conceptual steps behind this and not to focus too much on the coding. You require minimal programming experience for this. You just need to run the lines of code, and hopefully that will teach you many of these concepts. All right, so we need to start by setting up our environment. So for this assignment, we will use the Cardano testnet blockchain. So for that, just select this line and run it. So to run it, you just need to press Shift Enter, and you'll get the output here. All right, so our Wolfram notebook is now configured to be connected to the Cardano testnet blockchain for this session. So the next step focuses on generation of cryptographic keys. So the ownership of crypto assets is based on the cryptographic keys, in particular owning a private key. So we need to create a pair of private and public keys. For that, we will run this line that uses a generate asymmetric key pair function, which uses also these parameters that specify the type of curve and curve name it will use. So you just need to execute this line by doing Shift Enter, and now you have a pair of private and public keys. So these are storing this variable. So if you write this variable and execute it, you'll get the same result as here. It's not regenerating the keys, it's displaying the keys that have been saved here. But saving the keys is very important. So currently your keys are stored in memory in this variable. This variable contains an association. You click this, you'll get the documentation and many examples on how to use an association. But it's very easy. So to get your public key, you just need to run this line and you will see your public key. Same thing with your private key. And saving your keys is very important. If you lose your private key, you won't be able to access your crypto funds.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Alright, so by running the next line, you will export your keys to your local drive. The file will be saved to the same folder where this notebook is stored. So just run this line and this will create a new file. If you want, you can also make a backup of your files to the Wolfram cloud. This step is optional and may ask you to log in with your Wolfram ID. If you want to do that, just run this line and this will create a cloud object. You can retrieve your keys at any time from this notebook by running this line. So again, this is not regenerating your private keys or public keys, this is just retrieving your backup in case you also save your keys to the Wolfram cloud. You can also get them by using the cloud get function with the cloud object you generated before. This is returning the same keys. These are stored in your drive and these are stored in the Wolfram cloud. Alright, so now you have your keys. You save them and now it's time to use them. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to create an address. You need a Cardano testnet address for this assignment. And that's a straightforward process. You just need to use the blockchain key encode function with your public key. So just run this line of code and you will get your address. So this is the address you'll be using for this assignment, and you don't need to make a backup of your address because you can always regenerate your address with the public key you saved before. Just make sure it's always the same public key. Alright, so now we need to add funds to your address. For that, we will use what is called a testnet faucet. So a testnet faucet is a website that will send some amount of ADA, that's the cryptocurrency Cardano uses, to your address. So just click here to go to this website. So scroll down until you see this part here. So make sure that the ADA is selected here and just paste the address you got before in your from your notebook. So just come here, copy this and paste it here. Just make sure your address is complete, that it doesn't have any extra characters, and once you are ready, just click this captcha and then click the request funds button. So go ahead, the page will load and it will send some testnet funds to your address. So you can also verify that the transaction has been added to the blockchain by clicking this link, and it will open the blockchain explorer. So if you get this message here, it's because the transaction hasn't been added to the blockchain yet. You may need to wait 1 minute for this to be added to the blockchain. So we waited a minute, and if we try this again, we can see that the transaction has been added to the blockchain. So we can go back to the notebook and check that. So let's go to the checking your balance section. So if you run this line that already contains your address, you'll get details about it. So for example, you'll see here your address and you'll see your balance. This is the balance you received from the faucet. If you only want to get the balance, you can run this line and have the balance here. So note that this number is given in Lovelace units, which is the smallest amount of the ADA cryptocurrency. Alright, so now we are ready to send transactions and mint NFTs. So to make this artwork, we are gonna team up with a computer and do a generative piece. So we'll use your geolocation to do this. It's very easy. You just need to run first this line here, and that will find your geo position. And now you need to run this line to get a map of your based on your geo position. So finally, the computer will help us to produce generative artwork. So just run this line and you will get this. So this has been produced by the computer using a random color. Actually, if you don't like that color, you can run it again and you will probably get a different color. So we are now ready to mint the NFT. It's time to mint our NFT. For that, we need to add some details that will customize our NFT. So first, create a name for your NFT. It's gonna be anything, but keep the string to less than 32 characters. I'll call this awesome NFT. So run this line. Now write a description of your NFT. So I will write something like 3D created, minted during my assignment. Alright, execute this line and just add the name of your group. So let's say your group is Team Rocket. And we have customized the fields that we want to add to our NFT. So now you need to load the function that will mint the NFT. So just come here, execute this line, and the function is loaded. So are you ready? You just need to go to this line here, just click whatever that is inside the cell, and if you are ready for this, just execute this line. It may take some seconds to load, and once it's loaded, you'll get something like this. And congratulations, you have minted your NFT. So take note of the transaction ID. Again, it may take about a minute for your NFT to be added to the blockchain. So when the transaction has been added to the blockchain, after maybe 1 minute or less, we can go to the visualizing your NFT data. So for this, we'll use the blockchain transaction data and provide the transaction ID of the NFT you just minted. For this, just click anywhere here and execute this code. Right, so here you can see the information about the transaction where your NFT was minted, but you also want to see the metadata that you added to your NFT. So for this, come here and execute this line. Right, so we can see this information is coming from the blockchain, and we can see the data we added before, right? So let's make something interesting. So remember that you team up with a computer to generate this generative artwork. That image was uploaded to IPFS. You can click here and go to the website of IPFS. So IPFS is a distributed storage network where we are storing these files. So files on IPFS are identified by content identifier, also known as CID. And this is what has been stored in this image or source field. So we are going to extract the source field from your NFT metadata to get the content ID linking to the image you created. So for this, you just need to run this line and you'll get the content ID. To download something from IPFS, you can use the external storage download function. If you click this, you also get the documentation and see more examples on how to use this function. For this assignment, you just need to run this line and the computer will download the file from IPFS. And to import this file, just run this line and you will see the artwork the computer generated with you. For this bonus track, I will show you how to use the same code we use in the visualizing your NFT data to get NFTs made by another student. So ask another student for the transaction ID of their NFTs and just go here and use transaction ID in the blockchain transaction data. So I already have a transaction ID that I want to use, so I just need to replace this here. Just make sure that your transaction ID has double quotes here and run the line of code. So you'll see the information is different, and if I run this, I'll get another metadata. I can come here, run this, download the file from IPFS, import it, and I'll get another NFT created by another student. For this bonus track, I will show you how to extract data from NFTs from a specific address. So I want you to get the NFTs from this address, and for that you will use the blockchain address data. So if you use the blockchain address data and ask for this address, you will see here some information about it. All right, what we care about is the assets part. So we'll just run this line here just for you to see that this address contains many assets. All right, so we have plenty of NFTs to choose. So save this information here just by running this line of code. And since we have many of them, let's just do a random choice. So we'll just pick one of these random assets. And we need the asset name, which is this one here. Now we will use the blockchain token data function with the asset name the computer chose and get the token mints field. So just run this line and you'll have this information. So we need the transaction ID, just as we did before to get information from your NFTs using the transaction ID. We are doing the same. So let's just, you can get many of these. So again, let's just make a computer choose one of these random transaction IDs in case we have more than one. So if you run this line, you'll get a transaction ID, and with this you can extract, just following the same steps we did in the visualizing your NFT data, you can get the same information. So if you run this line, you'll have the data, and remember you also want the metadata. From here you need to extract the content ID, which is this one. Download these to your computer, and now import the file. Alright, so this is one random NFT we got from the address, and you can repeat the same process, and I encourage you to try this with other NFTs. Thank you so much.